Podcasting between Leeds and London, Interesting Podcast is your indispensable guide to the more interesting things in life. Your hosts are about to take you on a journey through all that they find interesting, curious, helpful, and downright bizarre. And now, here are your hosts, Matt and Rick.
Hello, welcome back, and this is now episode 5 of Interesting Podcast. Something a little bit different today. We're not going to be reviewing any products. We've not got somebody to interview. Today we're going to be talking solely about the Olympics. We have 2 weeks of the greatest show on earth, and it's being held in London at the moment. And I, for one, have had a really, really good time. I've really enjoyed the Olympics. Matt, you live in London. What's it been like?
Yeah, it's been great, actually. We haven't had the problems that we were expecting, because I live here, and 2 weeks, and then obviously you've got 2 weeks, then you've got the Paralympics as well. So it's like about 4 or 5 weeks of mayhem, in a sense. And I was really concerned mainly about transport, getting in and out of work, but it's been absolutely fine. And I tell you what, the actual build-up, it's been going on for so long.
I know.
But it has 7 years, isn't it? 7 years of people talk. But a lot of the build-up, I think, has been negative about saying what, all the problems it's going to be. So, I think there was a genuine terrorist threat, and there's a whole, there's enough to do with the conspiracy of the 2012 kind of stuff. But Did you get killed on Friday the 3rd of August? It was meant to be Friday. No, it wasn't Friday. Yeah, I think it was actually. No, it was last Friday. That was meant to be the terrorist attack, and that didn't happen. Well, if it did, it was very minor. So that was... Yeah, it's been interesting. I've actually really enjoyed it. My problem is that I like tournaments. I quite like the World Cup. I even kind of like Wimbledon, and I like it when there's a tournament of a sport. I'm not a massive fan of the majority of the sports in the Olympics, but I've got to say, I've been really impressed with it. I've really enjoyed it, and I think it's been a great experience.
Well, let's start at the beginning then, because it all opened with the opening ceremony, and a lot of people have been talking about that. I personally thought the opening ceremony was absolutely fantastic. What I loved most about it is that Danny Boyle wasn't afraid to be a little bit creative, to do some things that were a little bit different, to work through kind of a potted history of the country, and then fit in all of these little nods and references to things that are kind of quintessentially British while he has a world stage. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I thought some of it was a little bit bizarre. I think a couple of criticisms I have. One of the criticisms, there was too much going on. There was almost too much, and I think that even the cameramen and the director didn't really know what to show a lot. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a massive thing to try and film and try and orchestrate. And so I felt there was a little bit too much going on at times.
It wasn't creative for people to watch on TV. It was creative for people in the stadium. I mean, I know it has to be broadcast to the world, but that was a stadium experience, and I guess you had to be there.
I understand that, but I think it should have been the other way around. Because, all right, have how many thousand people in a stadium compared to how many million or billion people were watching around the world. I think that it really should have been another way around. It wasn't like a concert where you can then buy a download of the concert. This was a world premiere, well, not world premiere, but a world event, and I think it should be focused more for TV as opposed to stadium.
I again, on that very point, I think Danny Boyle did a really good job, because being a film director, being noted for his cinematography and how he puts things together, I mean, we were talking previously about how good the opening VT was, like kind of the launch into London, and that was a brilliant piece of TV. But then it landed in the stadium, and it was all about the experience in the stadium. I'm really glad that he kept it as a stadium experience, a theatrical show, and not a piece of TV.
I thought a little bit they had like these little interludes, these little bits of VT or video that coming in, and sometimes I felt it was a little bit like Eurovision. In Eurovision where they cut away to little love letters from that.
Roving fields and pictures of bread on a table.
I did find it was a little bit like that at times, but overall, I thought it was great. I don't know why the Arctic Monkeys were on it, though. I think that if we're going to show something on a world stage, we've got much better acts. You know, the Arctic Monkeys, they were some people who had some hits a few years ago.
Why not the Arctic Monkeys? Why not Dizzy Rascal? Why not?
Dizzy Rascal I have no problem with.
This is a slice of society, and the Arctic.
It is a slice of society, but the Arctic Monkeys are not that famous at the moment and haven't been for a number of years.
I disagree. I think the Arctic Monkeys' second album was obviously written for America. I think they're probably bigger in other places around the world than they are in the UK right now. But
Maybe.
Perhaps because they're from the north. They're a massive band, the Arctic Monkeys.
They are, but I don't know. I just think on like a world stage, which was what it was, I think that we could have had more representing artists of the moment. I'm not a massive fan, but if you look at our recent exports, Adele has been massive. She could have been used. All right, she's pregnant.
Yeah, Emily Sandé. I mean, she's of a similar ilk.
The thing is, okay, I've got one criticism there. One, I couldn't really hear what she was singing.
So full of criticism, Matt. So full of criticism.
I thought that the opening ceremony was great.
Don't hate.
But they were great. I'm not hating. I'm appreciating.
Hating.
No, I thought the cinematography was amazing, especially the opening sequence. I thought the James Bond bit was great. The Mr. Bean bit was great. I quite like that bit about the house and where they had all the
house party.
House party. That was
the guy that invented the internet inside.
Yeah. Did you know he actually sent a tweet at that very moment?
Did he?
Yeah.
How fitting.
Which I think is quite interesting, because they did say this has been the social media games, and when the athletes were entering the stadium, the amount of people tweeting, sending pictures, I thought that was good.
I mean, the one that I do, there is one thing that annoyed me, and it was actually Paul McCartney at the end. Now, don't get me wrong, the Beatles are amazing, they're one of the greatest bands ever, I would not doubt his work, his lifelong commitment, he set up Lipper, he does great things, he's a massive benefactor, I don't dislike Paul McCartney, but when you become a 70-year-old man and your voice can no longer hold stadiums, isn't it time to hang up your hat and listen back and think, nah, I can't cut it anymore?
Do you know what? I think Hey Jude was the wrong... It's a closing song. And if it was the closing ceremony and you were singing Hey Jude, good. But I don't think it was suitable for an opening ceremony.
Well, it's just to get everybody involved, wasn't it? Because everybody knows that, no. But I mean...
Yeah, but it is traditionally a closing type of song, though. You know what I mean? I just think it was not inappropriate. I don't think it was the best choice that we could have made for the opening ceremony.
So that was the opening ceremony. I mean, that was just, a little a taster, if you will. But the main event, the games themselves, I think you alluded there to the fact that you love tournaments and you've never really been a sports fan. I mean, I certainly haven't. I've never been really into sports. And I must admit, there was a little bit of me a couple of years ago when I was like £12 billion on 2 weeks of sport. Is that the right use of money? Should we not do something similar that supports the arts as well? But I have to say, I have loved every minute of the last couple of weeks of the Olympics. I think it has been absolutely brilliant. Some of the competitions, some of the things I've seen both live and on telly have absolutely been knuckle-biting moments.
No, I agree. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I've watched a lot more than I thought I was going to. I've been reading the news every single day. I've been watching... I think the fact that England have done, or Britain, should I say, Great Britain, has done so well, I think that if we hadn't have done anywhere near as well, it wouldn't have been anything like the event it has been. But I think, to say we're a very tiny country, yes, we have home advantage, but I think we've done astonishingly well in these games. Astonishingly well.
I've got a question for you. Does Great Britain include Northern Ireland, our team?
Well, it's classed as Great Britain and Northern Ireland, isn't it?
Well, this is how it works. I mean, Great Britain...
I thought Northern Ireland was part of Great Britain.
No. Great Britain is Wales, Scotland, and England. Okay, the United Kingdom stands for United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That's what United Kingdom stands for.
Okay.
And if you care, the British Isles is the whole kit and caboodle, so that includes ERA as well. Republic of Ireland. So when we're saying go Team GB, are there not some people in Northern Ireland that are getting a little bit pissed off about that?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been to ask.
Okay. Favourite event so far, then?
I very much enjoyed the Mo Farah. In fact, I'm watching Mo Farah later on today. I'm at work, but I'm sure I'll nip out for that. So the Mo Farah, I enjoyed the tennis. I actually quite enjoyed watching Andy Murray win gold. I think I felt quite sorry for him because he won gold and then he went on and won silver later on that day, and that almost put a slight dampener on the fact that he'd won gold. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I have a love-hate. No, I don't have a love-hate relationship with Andy Murray. I think he's the most ungrateful sports personality on TV. You watch him at Wimbledon, and when he messes up or when he doesn't have a bad game, it's like, I didn't do what. It was like, speak with some conviction, speak with some emotion. You're a sports star. You're holding together Wimbledon. We came out of the Euros when we massively lost it at an early stage. Then our country built up into this false optimism that perhaps Andy Murray might win, and he didn't. And then we come into the Olympics and we have the same thing. Again, it's the same people playing. The Olympics, for me, should be about amateurs competing to either run quicker, to throw stuff further, or to do stuff better. Tennis shouldn't be an Olympic sport. Neither should football. These aren't Olympic sports. Throw stuff. That's what we want to see.
Do you know what? I agree with you. And on Super Saturday, when they came to Great Britain playing whoever they were actually playing, I don't know. It was a penalty shootout, so we were going to lose anyway. But I was in the pub watching. I think I was in the pub watching. I don't know. But I was watching it, and then the football came on, and no one cared.
Yeah.
Just nobody cared. So I agree that the amount of coverage that football gets, because rugby's not in the Olympics, is it? Not that I know of. So football, is it an Olympic sport? I personally don't think it is. Tennis, again, there is so much time and money towards it in other tournaments and in other ways. What they're going to be doing next, bringing golf, it's like...
Well, they are bringing golf.
Oh, right, okay.
That was a Olympics, they're bringing golf in. No, golf is going to be an Olympic sport. And I mean, we've had BMX this time, and actually, I kind of quite like BMX because it's a bit of a knuckle, it's a bit scary. It's a bit kind of adrenaline filled, and there's lots of rushes. That was okay. I mean, what I think the Olympics needs is some consistency, because do you remember when Amir Khan won the silver in Beijing?
I do.
And he was an amateur then, and he had a choice, whether he would come back to London and fight for the gold, whether he would become a professional.
See, I don't understand this. Why? I don't understand why he can't do that. Then you have people like Andy Murray, who's a professional. Why can't you? I don't understand this.
And is it who is it? Is it Ryan Giggs we've got on the football team?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you why, and it's because it varies by sport. Each sport has a different set of rules as to who can and can't come in the team. So with football, and I don't know if I've got this quite right, but I think you can only have 3 players that are over the age of 23 or something like that in the football team. And each sport sets its own rules about who can and can't enter in the Olympics.
Oh, okay.
Which is why boxing is a complete amateur sport and no professional boxers box. But tennis is the same professional superstars you get in any other tournament in the world. Yeah. And you know what? Olympics really should be about not necessarily amateurs, but a lot of this stuff doesn't have wide appeal. As in, you're not going to get javelin throwing to be as popular around the world as football. And it's never going to have the support. You're never going to have javelin hooligans. And for that reason, to keep all sports alive, these should be amateurs, because this shouldn't be about money. This shouldn't be people that are trained because they're paid to do it. This should be about enthusiastic amateurs giving it a go and winning.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, actually. Either it should be it should be one way or another. Either anyone can compete, and there aren't any restrictions, or people who do it professionally, you have to actually ask what professional is, what that sort of means. But no, I agree that you shouldn't have the superstars in there. But does it really add to the overall effect? Does it include? Does it bring a bigger draw? I don't think it personally does. I think it'd have been just as big anyway, without without the tennis. It's good, it's good that obviously they won the gold in the tennis, but with the football shouldn't be part. I don't think football should be part of it at all.
And I think, I'm really proud of these Olympics. On the way to work yesterday, I actually walked past them painting our post boxes gold. Obviously, Nicola Adams won the boxing. She's from Leeds. And, Yorkshire, not just GB, but Yorkshire itself as a county has had a great Olympics. What we're often bounding around at the moment is if Yorkshire were a country, and some people, myself included, think it probably should be, we would be 10th in the Olympics table.
No, I do think that's actually a really interesting. Do you know what I find really, really interesting as well? Yes, Yorkshire's done so well. I've been surprised on how poorly Australia's performed.
Yeah,
because Australia's a big sporting nation, a very competitive nation, and this is why I've been so impressed with Team GB and how well we've done. But I think that I think Yorkshire has done very, very well. But again, let's have it as a United Kingdom's the wrong word then, isn't it? It's a Great Britain. It doesn't matter where they've come from. I do think the painting of the post boxes has been. So you went past, and was it for that boxer? Was it her?
Nicola Adams it was. Although, did you hear about the post boxes in, it was in, okay, Alistair and Johnny Brownlee won the, triathlon. Well, bronze and a gold as well. Well, they come from a village just outside Leeds called Bramhope, and that's where they live. But because they come from Horsforth, they painted the postbox in Horsforth. So a guy in the village in Bramhope did a renegade painting of the postbox gold and painted it himself. And then the next day Royal Mail came and painted it back red. And like this guy's on the news saying, I only painted it because they live here, and I think that we should be acknowledged for having some sports stars in village.
Have you seen that when we won the silver medals yesterday, and I think it was on the water to some description.
On the water, we're good at that, aren't we? We're good at water and cycling.
Water and wheels. Have you ever seen those water bikes you can actually pedal? That would be
that should be an Olympic sport.
Water biking. But some people, wherever these people were from, I don't know, actually went to the post box because they got silver and actually covered the post box in tin foil to make a silver post. So that was good.
There were these great photos of the Olympics, weren't there, as well?
Absolutely.
The favourite one we saw was the Rwandan football team sat waiting for the bus. Football team, the Rwandan athletes waiting for the bus.
I think that's been my favourite picture of the Olympics. And also, I don't have it in front of me at the moment, but there's an Olympic gold medalist on the tube.
Yeah.
Just showing his gold medal out. And I think that, as we mentioned at the beginning, with the inventor of the internet was involved in the opening ceremony. This has been the social media games with people tweeting, posting pictures, and I think it's put a very different slant on the Olympics. It's made it much more interactive. People have got much more involved with before the Olympics. Even going back to, maybe not Beijing, but especially when we were growing up, think about sort of Seoul and all those kind of Olympics and, the Atlanta. If you weren't watching it on TV, you weren't involved in it.
And there's one thing that I would really, really like to say here, because I think they've had a bit of stick, but I personally think that the BBC's coverage of the Olympics has been first rate. And I've heard a few people criticise, but I think that even though they've gone over every day, you can always get a roundup of the day. They're showing whatever you want to see. The red button is a thing to behold when you've got the Olympics. The fact that you can flick between the sports, I think they've managed to capture as much as possible. And the choice that we've got in terms of what we watch and when is amazing. I think it's really, really crap that we're getting, people are criticising what the BBC is saying and doing. I even think most of the presenters are pretty good at what they're doing.
I agree. I think the BBC coverage has been amazing. See, this is interesting because the BBC are covering all of the Olympics, but then the Paralympics is going to Channel 4. Which I think is quite. If you look at the ticket sales for the Paralympics, it looks like it's going to sell out, which I think is actually quite an incredible feat. To sell out event twice, as it were. I don't know that much about the Paralympics. I don't know if they do every sport or if it's a selection of sports or different sports.
The thing about the Paralympics is there are many, many more medals in the Paralympics because they have some sports, but then they have sports for different disabilities. So it's not as if they have a 100-meter race and then anybody with any disability can enter it. They have a race, and depending on what disability you have, depends on which one you enter. So there are many, many more medals for the Paralympics. But look, it's another great 2 weeks we can get into. I've enjoyed it so much the first time around. I'm quite looking forward to giving it another go.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to watch them. Obviously I think it's going to be smaller than the Olympics. I'm going to go down to the Olympic Park.
You've not been yet. Why haven't you been?
I know this will bring us nicely on to the fact that although you're from North, in Leeds, you came down to London and you did for a few days steal my life. You went to the Olympics. So I know I haven't been as of yet, and I do have my I don't have my reasons actually. I've just been lazy, and I've been looking for somewhere to live. But you came down to London, you stole my life. How was your little adventure?
My little adventure was absolutely amazing. Really, really loved it. I should point out that I do come to London from time to time anyway. I didn't just come down for the Olympics. But while I was there, you came to the north, I came to the south. I took over your flat. I was having great fun drinking on your roof terrace overlooking Muswell Hill and the Alexandra Palace. I drank in your local pub. In fact, it was in your local pub, the Woodman in Highgate, that I watched Mo Farah. I was speaking to all your friends behind the bar. I was in the centre of town. I went to the Comedy Store near where you work. I drank in the Comedy Pub near where you often go. So I very, very much stole your life. But I had a great time in London. Look, the vibe there on the day that I was there, it was that Super Saturday where we won loads of medals. Yeah. And I was there, and we went down to Horse Guards Parade, and we heard the beach volleyball, and we walked down the South Bank and went for a drink in the lovely outdoor garden they've got there, and then we found various pubs and watched some of the events. We watched, Jessica Ennis win her heptathlon, and it was just the vibe, the buzz in London is absolutely amazing. And I saw the men's table tennis semi-finals at the Excel Arena. That was good fun. People really get into their table tennis. God, you wouldn't think you'd have like super fans, but you do. And we went down to Stratford. We went to the Westfield Centre. I didn't let John Lewis relieve me of £3 to have a look out of the window. Although we did see the Olympic Park, and it's a great mix of kind of athletes and patriotic people wrapped in various flags, and the pink and purple volunteers. They're all over the place, aren't they? How many volunteers are there? Brilliant.
Oh, I know.
Have you seen their watches? I like their watches.
I haven't seen their watches.
Got like really bright pink kind of plastic watches, but they get to keep it all. Okay,
I'll have a look for that. I'm going into Central this afternoon, so I'll definitely see what they're all wearing. But no, London has been great. It's been sort of quite of a weird effect, because on one hand it's meant to be really busy, and on the other hand, a lot of the tourists haven't been this year, because London is the most visited city in the world anyway. So trying to get more tourists was just unrealistic.
Oh, right.
So,
is that a fact?
Apparently so. Apparently it's the most interesting, it's the most visited city in the world.
Okay.
So
I'd have thought it'd be New York or somewhere like that, to be honest. But okay.
Well, that's just what I heard. Just what I heard. Man in a pub told me. No, it was on the news the other day. And then,
was it a London pub?
It wasn't. It was from a cabbie,
was it?
Yeah. They're not happy at the moment, which I can understand, because tourism rates are down by nearly 50%.
Well, tourism rates are down nearly 50%, and all the lanes. Oh no, cabbies can use the lanes, can't they? They can use the games lane.
I think they had an argument about it, but yeah, I think that everyone's talking about the legacy of the Olympic Games, and I certainly hope that this summer London's not going to do too well. It's not going to make that much money out of it. But I think it's going to have a legacy in two ways. One, I think London's come out of this very well. I think the British people have come out of this very well for their hospitality, for their organisational skills. I'm sure it hasn't been, but from an external perspective, watching the games, it seems to have gone fault free. I'm sure it hasn't, but I haven't heard of anything going wrong.
Oh, and having been there as well, you were absolutely right. All the stuff about the transport and getting to places, I never even got stuck on the tube. I never even had to queue to get into a tube station. I was there on the Saturday after the busiest Friday. It was Super Saturday. Yeah, London was busy, but London's always busy. I don't think it was any worse than any other time of year. And you know what? I agree with you. I think it's just shown that one thing that is essentially British is our unfailing ability to throw one hell of a party.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's been really, really good for that. Really good for that. And I think the legacy that it's going to bring in, obviously we're going to benefit, London's going to benefit from this for many, many years. I don't know if there's going to be any statues erected because of it, or the rings kept on London Bridge or whatever. But hopefully it's going to get more people into sports. And I was just watching the news yesterday and how they were turning droves of people away from velodromes, from swimming pools, from athletic, people signing up to athletic clubs. And hopefully this isn't just going to be a fad. It's not just going to be a 1 week thing. Hopefully, like Boris Johnson said, he wants to have 2 hours of PE every day, which is of course just unrealistic. But hopefully that
2 hours of what?
PE every day.
PE. Well, no, you can't. Let's be perfectly clear here. There is a big difference between sports and competing and things that are great and PE at school, because PE at school is a horrendous experience.
Yeah.
Not through the fault of anybody, other than the fact that it's curriculumed, and people can't have free choice. There is still sexism in the sports that you can do at school. Yeah. And like kids at school, they're there to learn, and I think it's more about getting people into stuff outside of school than it is necessarily mandating 2 hours of PE at school.
Well, hopefully it's going to have a big increase in sports clubs at schools. I think that'd be good. So after school, during lunch times, I think that'd be, I think that'd be really, really good. And then getting them involved in sports outside of school as well, hopefully with their families, especially with the cycling, because we seem to have dominated that this year. So hopefully, that's going to have a strong legacy. And there's a big cycling event on, I think it's going to be next year now, which is hopefully going to be the biggest cycling event in the world. And that's just been released. I don't know if you've heard about this. This was being talked about this week. So that'll be good to be involved in. So yeah, I think it's really good. I think sport in general has done very well out of these Olympics. From the legacy point of view, from what's going to happen afterwards, are you now more motivated? Because I know that you're a runner yourself. Are you now more motivated to run further, faster, stronger?
Well, I think that there is an element of realism here. I was never particularly good at sports at school. I was never particularly bad. I was always quite active. I was never kind of lethargic, but I try harder as I get older, and age is against me, and things that I eat tend to go straight to the belly. So I try and do quite a lot of things. I mean, I'm much more into kind of outdoor pursuits anyway. So I do rock climbing, and I've just started skiing as well, and I like that kind of outdoor stuff. And I run. I have a theory about running. Everybody in the world hates running. Even people that run hate running. It's not good. Nobody likes it. But once you get that out of your head and realise that actually it's a pretty cheap, pretty convenient way that eliminates most of the excuses that we lie to ourselves for why we can't participate in sports. I don't have the equipment, it's raining, I don't have time. You can run anywhere with anything, and it takes half an hour, 45 minutes. I do try. I fail a lot of the time. I do fail, but I think it's been great. I've had a couple of experiences recently, actually, clay pigeon shooting. And what I've realised is, as I'm not getting any older, I think about what I'm going to enter. Obviously, we're going to be entering an Olympic sport. It'd be rude not to. And
4 years. 4 years.
I'm toying between dressage, which basically is it any more than just sitting on a horse and walking around a little bit? I think I can do that. Or
horse dance.
Or shooting. And it's got to be one of the two. So you take one, I'll take the other.
I don't want to go on a horse. I don't want to make a horse dance. Unless we can combine clay pigeon shooting and dressage. So you make the horse dance while shooting clay pigeons.
Ah, yeah, okay. Something
or you shoot horses.
why not just make like warfare an Olympic sport? Why don't we have like gladiator rings like we used to, and just put two people in and fight it to the death?
I believe they do that in Leeds. The arenas are also known as pub car parks. Every weekend you can see many around the city centre.
Watch your mouth, or I'll send Nicola Adams to get you. Okay?
All right. Calm down. I'll wear a headguard. It'll be fine. But I think that I've never been a particularly sporty person. I've always quite liked walking. I've quite liked sort of going out. I actually had some operations when I was young, which prevented me from doing a lot of, especially sort of combat and physical sports. But I've made a few realizations recently, and yes, I am actually. I wouldn't say I'm ever going to be a sports person by any means, but I am getting myself back into shape. Last year, I got myself into actually really quite decent shape. And, sort of got quite trim, quite slim. I got off all the sort of bad foods. I stopped drinking for 3 months solid. And that's my go-to.
And now you've undone it all.
I have undone it all. So
what are you doing? What's your healthy plan?
Okay, well, basically, my big thing, I think the worst thing, or where it all kind of stems from, is from drinking. And I've talked to a few people about this, and drinking is not just to do with the sort of the calories involved in drinking. It's to do with the lifestyle that goes with drinking. And so, if you think about, when you drink, you hang around other drinkers, and especially in pubs. And I do like drinking at home as well, and even by myself. Which might sound quite sad, but I do like my whiskies, and I do sort of like stuff like that, and I don't have to go out to drink. And when you drink at night, you're then hungover in the morning, so you are less likely to do anything active. And so so I haven't drunk for a little while now, not for long, only for like a week or so. But it's amazing what perspective it changes on. Well, do I want to go to the pub? Do I want to hang around people who are drunk? And because when you're not drunk and other people are, it's quite a strange dynamic. And so I've got nothing against drinking. I very much enjoy it, but I think it's time for me to start associating with people who are more involved in sports and not drinking, as well as, because drinking does kind of bring people together, but you don't necessarily have anything in common with them.
Well, I think also for you, and this is a big difference between London and Leeds. I noticed that the lifestyle is very different in London. It's because people normally live further out. You finish work, and people that work kind of go for a drink, and then about 8, 9 o'clock they'll go home, and they, and then they'll probably grab something to eat on the way. And there is, I think, much more convenience eating in London as well. That's why there are so many restaurants, because they're all full because people come out of work and they just go for dinner. Whereas where I live, it's so easy to get home. Eating out kind of on a school night, as it were, isn't so common. Like, you will go home and you'll either cook for yourself or cook for other people. I think it is much easier in that respect to kind of cook and eat healthier. When I find myself in London quite a lot, and I always come back after 4 or 5 days in London feeling like I need to eat a big salad and go for a run. You know what I mean? Because of the way you eat. It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
You're going to take up running?
Not running. Do you know what? I'm not going to drag people into this, but at the moment I am moving house again, which is fun. And so I'm reluctant to rejoin my normal gym simply because I don't know where I'm going to be this time next month. So I want to actually sort of work out where I'm going to be. Then I like going to the gym, but I also like walking. So I'm looking at walking groups actually. I'm not. Running maybe in the future, but cycling's always been a big passion of mine. So I'm looking at possibly bringing my bike from York down to London.
It's just easy in London, isn't it, when you're cycling to get dead?
That is true. We're just going to round off this episode. We've just got a few things that we are going to mention very briefly. But overall, the Olympic Games has been great. I've really enjoyed it. What's been, out of the whole Olympic Games, what's been your highlight, your one moment, the best part?
Men's table tennis semi-finals, the gold-winning Chinese man, Zhang Jike, being beaten by a German and being in the crowd when the Germans saw the world champion being beaten. It was amazing.
Oh, fair play. I think mine was possibly Mo Farah winning the 5,000 metres, because he did it in such style as well. And Jessica Ennis.
Yeah.
In fact, there's been quite a few moments that I've liked for different reasons. I think the picture of the is it the Rwandan team? I think that's been the best thing about it. Just sitting there waiting for the bus.
She's a love, isn't she?
Been great. Okay, so just a few things to sort of round off on. Just one thing that we have to mention: Snoop Dogg has changed his name to Snoop Lion.
Wow.
Which I know. Apparently, because he has converted to Rastafarianism, so obviously lion is very symbolic in the Rastafarian religion. So Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Doggy lion.
Snoop Doggy, yeah.
Snoop Dogg. No. We'll have to work on the remix.
We'll have to work because it doesn't quite flow. I don't know if it's Snoop Doggy Lion or just Snoop Lion. Just to say, just a real quick thing, I went and saw Batman the other day, the Dark Knight. Is it the Dark Knight Rises? It's called. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm not a massive Batman fan, but I had nothing to do the other day, so I went to go and watch it. If you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing. I hadn't seen the first one. I'd seen the previous one with Heath Ledger. I hadn't seen, but I was really put off Batman from when all the rather stupid films that were made a few years ago were like George Clooney and stuff like that. Not a big fan. But now, but now it's been made by the same guy, obviously who did Inception. And you can tell it's just a much better film, so I really enjoyed that. And interesting talks, we have lots and lots of stuff coming up. Just want to let you know about a couple of events that we have coming up in September. We actually have 3 events in September. On Monday the 17th of September, we're introducing a guy called James Brown. And James Brown is somebody who you do not want to miss. He is the
Father of Soul.
It's not that James Brown. That one's dead. This one is a close-up magician. He's the UK's #1 close-up magician, and he's a professional opportunist. That means he's a pickpocket.
He's a thief.
He's a thief. He's going to be doing a talk and some demonstrations for us, and that's going to be Confidence and the Poverty of Law. We also have coming up on Tuesday, so the day after, busy week, Tuesday the 18th of September, a gentleman called Roman Kazanik. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Isn't he the owner of Chelsea?
No, that's someone else. Yeah, we have Roman Abramovich doing interesting talks there. Now we have Roman Kazanik, and Roman Kazanik he's the co-founder of something called the School of Life, which he actually co-founded with Alain Dubouton, who's obviously a very famous author. And so he's going to be talking about the habits of highly empathetic people. So that's going to be a really, really, really interesting talk and really, really worth coming down to. I'm really happy that he's coming down to, because he does a lot of talks. It's his own events at the School of Life, and we're very privileged to get him to come down to our little group. And then on Tuesday, the 25th of September, a good friend of mine, a gentleman called Robert Kelsey, is coming back. And Robert Kelsey is a published author. He was #1 in the self-help for What's Stopping You, and the 2nd edition has now just come out. And he's going to be coming to talk about overcoming insecurities. He did do a talk for me last year, which sold out very quickly. This time, it's obviously selling is normal. All tickets are now sort of half gone. And remember, all tickets are only £5 each. So if you want more information about interesting talks, about the upcoming events, there's lots of events coming up. I'm also starting a business networking event as well, when all details will be brought out as it comes, as it materialises. But you can go to interestingtalks.co.uk. That's interestingtalks.co.uk, and all the information is there. And you can book tickets to come to any of the events, and you can download all the past events for free. So that's just something. So please share it. But Rick, do you have any closing thoughts about? You're going to be going to Edinburgh, and is it Festival you're going to?
Well, these are 2 separate things, but the Edinburgh Festival for me next week, where I'm going to hope to see lots of stuff on the Fringe, and then it's Festival at the beginning of September, so the music festival at the Isle of Wight. And if we can make technology work, we'll see if we can. We'll do some snippets for the podcast from those events.
Yeah, we can do some roaming reporting, and we can see. Yeah, with technology is going to either help or hinder us doing that, but hopefully we're going to be having some interesting reviews from our man on site.
From our man on site. Well, look, that really is all we've got time for. So, once again, please get in touch with us. You can tweet us at interestingpod, like our Facebook page, which is Interesting Podcast. Email us, rick@interestingpodcast.com or
Matt at interestingpodcast.com. And you can also now get these episodes on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/interestingpod. Somebody else stole Interesting Podcast, so go to Interesting Pod and please share it. Please get in contact, and we'll see you all again soon. That's good night from me.
And good night from me.
Thanks for listening to Interesting Podcast with Matt and Rick. Obviously, any views expressed herein are those of the hosts and no one else. If you like what you just heard, please share the website www.interestingpodcast.com with your friends, family and colleagues. You can subscribe, listen to the archived podcasts and get in touch. Do you have something interesting to say? We'd love to hear from you. Get in touch. Tweet us at InterestingPod and like our Interesting Podcast Facebook page. Until next time.